and welcome to this week's Coffee Date Thursday. It's pretty much an awesome Coffee Date Thursday because today we are covering birth stories or love stories. So they're both very interesting topics, but we can choose one or do both. But for now, I'm gonna choose to do the birth story, and this is simply because I have been wanting to do this on my channel for like forever, literally for like forever, but I just never had a chance to do it. So I thought today, because Coffee Date Thursday gives us that option to do it, and I thought, yay, that's great, I'm gonna do that. So I'm gonna pretty much start from the point where I started going into labor. So first off, I need to say this. I was 10 days overdue, like a whole 10 days. It was honestly worth the wait because a whole bunch of stuff happened while we were waiting past the due date, and I just feel like if she came on her due date, it would have been a complete disaster. But anyway, so yes, my labor started around 2 a.m. in the morning, and I remember it was a Wednesday, and that Tuesday night I was talking to my mom, and she was actually starting to freak out because she was saying, why is the baby not coming? It's been 10 days and whatnot. And I was starting to really actually stress out to a point where I was like, okay, that's it. If she's not here tomorrow, then we will go to the doctor and I'll get induced or something, or we'll just have a C-section or whatever. So we went to bed with my boyfriend, and 2 a.m. I wake up in the morning and I feel these pains, like, you know, labor honestly was the last thing in my mind. So anyway, I realized after like an hour, around 3:30, I thought maybe I should start timing them because then they were coming and going. So I downloaded a contractions app real quickly on my phone and I started timing them. So around 5 a.m. then they started getting like 3 minutes apart, and I was like, holy smokes, what's going on? So then I ran myself a bath, and only then I woke up my boyfriend to say, look here, I might be in labor, so we might have to start getting ready to go to hospital and stuff. So I prepped myself a bath. I took like a whole hour in the bathtub. I was there from 5 until just a little bit around 6. The contractions were coming. I kept timing them, and my boyfriend called our midwife to let her know, look here, this is what's happening. And she said, right then, get that woman to the hospital. And then I called her back and I said, look, we really don't have to go to a hospital. It's probably just a false alarm because we are so desperate for the baby to come here, and I'm like 10 days overdue and whatnot. So maybe we should wait a little bit longer to see what happens. I remember my midwife saying to me, if you don't get to hospital now, you're gonna have that baby at home. And then I started freaking out. But then, funny enough, the whole time throughout my pregnancy, we used to joke around with my boyfriend and say, by the time I go in labor, the car is probably not gonna have fuel, and we are probably gonna get stuck in traffic because it's gonna be in the morning. And guess what? It happened. So he had to go first to the garage to put on fuel in the car and then come back home. And by this time it was already around 6:30 in the morning. So, and the traffic gets really bad because people are going to work and stuff. So then we got stuck in traffic. It took us about just a little over an hour to get to the hospital. So anyway, fast forward to now, we are in a hospital. It is now around 8 a.m. in the morning, and my midwife got there. The nice thing, when we got there, I was so happy, you know, I was so happy. I don't even know if I was more happy that baby bear was gonna be born, or I was just more happy that my midwife was there and everything was just ready. So anyway, we got to hospital, and when we got to our room, we had a very nice hospital. We had a private room with a king-size bed and like a baby crib and a huge bathtub. We had everything. It was like a hotel room, but it's a hospital. So anyway, we got there, and I was doing water birth. So they had set up the birth pool already. They put on warm water. The room was nice and warm. Everything was just perfect. So all we did when we got there was give them our bag, which our doula, we had a doula. She just took out the baby clothes that we picked for baby bear to wear once she was born. She put them there very nicely. We brought along candles, so she put our candles, and we were taking pictures and making videos, and it was just amazing. So anyway, my midwife did her checks, and guess what? I was 8 centimeters dilated. I jumped into the birth pool, and it was amazing. It just helped so much. I hardly felt the contractions. I did not have an epidural. Everything was just amazing and relaxing. And I had my boyfriend who was there with me, and we had the radio playing. We had like my jams going on. I was jamming to Beyonce and stuff. And the one sad thing is we wanted to have like an actual real video setup. We had a couple of cameras we actually bought for the birth. Oh my god, am I getting emotional? For the birth. But now people broke into our house the Monday, and baby only came on Wednesday, so we did not have anything. Our midwife had to bring the camera, her own camera, and our doula was using her phone. I'm getting all emotional now. Now, fast forward to around 9 a.m., 9:30ish. I was already in the birth pool, and now it was time to push. So we took about from around 9:30 until 10. We were pushing, but now here's the thing, you know, just as a person, you have those natural instincts. Like if something is going wrong, you will know that something is going wrong. So anyway, 30 minutes into pushing, my midwife was like telling me to keep pushing more. But now every time I pushed, I could feel baby going down and back up again. So I told her, this is what's happening. She's going down and back up again. And then she said, yes, I can actually feel that. So then we tried for like 15 minutes more. And I said to her, look here, this is not working. Let's just try an emergency C-section. So anyway, obviously they were all against it. My midwife she personally does not prefer C-sections. I personally do not prefer C-sections. Of course, my boyfriend doesn't like C-sections. I got him into that idea. So anyway, then we kept trying for another 15 minutes, and I said to her, it is just not working. It was almost getting me exhausted to a point where I was starting to feel nauseous. But lucky enough, my midwife was very prepared. She brought like a whole bottle of honey. So every time I started to feel nauseous, she would give me a spoonful, and I'd feel much better already. So anyway, we eventually decided to call my gynae, who was on standby, and then she came through to the hospital, and we ended up having a C-section. It was very unfortunate. I was crying my eyes out because I did not want a C-section, but there was just nothing we can do, and we didn't know why she kept going down and up. So anyway, now my doula had to stay in our room to sort of clean up, drain the birth pool and whatnot, and just prep everything for when we come back from theater. And then I went into theater with my boyfriend and my midwife, who was now my doula. Yeah, it worked out very funny. So anyway, they did the epidural thing, and they did the C-section. And guess what? When the baby came out, she had the umbilical cord tangled around her neck. So every time she went down, it pulled her back up again. They say if I hadn't told them in time, if I decided to just keep pushing, we could have took a turn for the worst, which I'm so glad we didn't. So they took all of that out, and she was perfectly fine. Her eyes were wide open, and she didn't cry. She was perfectly fine, breathing on her own. Everything was good, but she didn't cry. The one thing she did, she came out with her eyes wide open, very aware, and she looked around the room, and she kept staring at people, and she looked at daddy, and it was just so amazing. And my boyfriend got to cut the umbilical cord, which was pretty great. He wanted to do that from the word go, which was pretty great. He was all emotional. So they gave her to me, and we went back into our room afterwards, and everything was clean. My doula cleaned everything. We dressed baby up, and I was obviously in bed for about 6 hours waiting for the epidural to wear off. And baby was there. I breastfed her. She latched on very well. Everything from there just went super well until I had to wake up to go take a shower. And then I felt like my whole insides are gonna fall down, and I was crying. I think I was crying more because I never wanted to have a C-section to start with, and then I ended up with a C-section, and I ended up being in so much pain from that C-section. Fast forward to now. That evening, my boyfriend was there with us. We stayed in hospital for 3 nights and 4 days. My boyfriend was there with us the whole time. So he had to go home to get some more clothes for himself, and I also needed some receiving blankets and swaddling blankets for baby. So anyway, he did go back home, and then he came back to the hospital, and we were doing great. Everything was just perfect. The hospital was amazing. They helped us out so much. The one thing I really, really loved about that hospital is the fact that they didn't take the baby away at any point. If there was a pediatrician coming through, they came to us. in our room. If there was any check that needed to be done, they came to us. Nobody came to take the baby away. I was with baby Bear from birth to this day. She is now turning 20 months old, and I've been with her every single day. All the sisters at the clinic, the midwives, the doctors were hanging in our room. We said we were like the coolest parents ever. We actually turned the hospital room into a proper hotel room because we set up a table, we'd have dinner at the table. Baby was sitting right there next to us in her crib, and we're talking and laughing out loud, and everybody was just there with us. It was just amazing. I remember when we had to leave the hospital, I bawled my ass out because I didn't want to leave. Not because I was nervous to go home, but because of that warmth, that fun. We had so much fun in hospital. 3 days later, we took Kay there home, and my mom came through also, and she was so happy to see Kay there at home. And we went back home to my mom so she can help me out and teach me stuff about being a parent. And yeah, so that's pretty much it. That's pretty much my birth story. The one thing that I'm so grateful for, especially towards my midwife, is immediately after birth. I remember when we came out of theater and back into our hotel room, she said to me, I need you to write down your birth story. And I said, why? She said to me, don't ask me why, just do it. And I'm not going to give you your pictures and videos until you actually do it. And I was like, okay, fine, I will do it. So I got myself to do it. I actually have it on my phone. I emailed it to myself. I backed it up. I was reading it yesterday and I was bawling my eyes out. I'm trying so hard to not be emotional right now. So I did that and I saved it. And I'm so glad she did that because I will never forget it. Obviously, it's going to take a while for me to forget it because Kay Bear is my only daughter, and second, I think I still have a very good memory, but just having it on my phone and backed up on my computers and email and everywhere else, when I have more kids in the future and when Kay Bear's old, I'll be able to show her and I'll be able to read back on it and be able to remember everything as crystal clear as it was, because it was pretty detailed. It's like 6 pages long, I kid you guys not. I wrote every single detail as it happened on that day. So that's pretty much my birth story. I think I had an incredible birth. Obviously every parent thinks that, but there are days to this day where I feel like I should have maybe tried harder to do natural birth, but there was nothing I could have done. In fact, what I did saved our little girl's life, and I'm so glad she's here today with us, and I'm so glad I made that call to have a C-section when I did. Even though she was not distressed, she was not in distress, I was not in distress, everything was going fine. I just felt like the pusher was not going to get us anywhere, so we might as well just do a C-section now before we wait for the worst to happen to declare it an emergency C-section. So yeah, that's pretty much it. I really hope that you guys enjoyed watching this. I am so excited to be part of this coffee date, especially for this one. This is like an awesome coffee date Thursday. I've always wanted to document my birth story, even though I have it on email and everywhere else. I'd like to have it on video as well. So I hope you guys enjoyed it. Don't forget to thumbs up if you really like this, and click subscribe for more. So I will catch you guys tomorrow.